Things are starting to heat up again as the Jason Kidd to New York conversation gains serious traction. The Knicks front office is reportedly putting in maximum effort to lure Kidd away, especially after some questionable decisions by the Mavericks leadership regarding their coaching strategy. While other viable candidates are still on the table, it's becoming clear that there are 4 strong contenders for the Knicks head coaching position. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We have a lot to dive into today. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all the latest Knicks news. Thank you all so much for the support recently. It's been amazing. But let's get into it. NBA insider Ian Begley dropped some major insights about the Knicks coaching search, specifically regarding Jason Kidd. According to him, no one has ruled Kidd out just yet, and there's a good reason for that. The Knicks have a strong interest in him, and while we can't say for sure how Kidd feels, his previous stint as a player in New York left a positive impression. Unless Dallas makes an official statement locking him in with a new deal, Kidd remains a legitimate candidate. Begley also brought up an important question. If Dallas does extend Kidd, where do the Knicks turn next? Names like Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins are floating around, and how long the Knicks are willing to wait for the Mavericks to make a decision is a key factor. Currently, Kidd has 2 years left on his deal, and the Mavericks have yet to make a move to extend him. The Knicks, on the other hand, have a history of inquiring about coaches, which quickly sparks extension talks with their current team. But in this case, Dallas seems to be standing firm. That might just give New York an opening. Despite reports that Mike Brown is the front-runner for the Knicks job, the interest in Jason Kidd hasn't faded. In fact, it might be stronger than ever, especially with some interesting social media activity from Kidd's own son. He recently posted a photo at Madison Square Garden and even reacted to media speculation with a cryptic emoji, fueling more rumors. The situation looks pretty straightforward. The Knicks want Jason Kidd. Of all the realistic options available, he's clearly their top choice. Other names like James Borrego and Taylor Jenkins are in the mix, but Kidd is the standout. The fact that this is still an open conversation suggests that Kidd himself is open to the idea too. The Mavericks' silence may mean they're not prioritizing keeping Kidd, or they might just be confident he won't leave. But New York could make him an offer he can't refuse, including a longer-term contract and possibly more money. From Kidd's perspective, that kind of security and recognition might be very appealing. While Kidd is a competent coach who helped guide Dallas to the finals, some question whether he's the right stylistic fit for the Knicks. He tends to lean heavily on defense and player freedom, whereas the Knicks may benefit more from a coach with a strong offensive system. If the Knicks do end up hiring Jason Kidd, it wouldn't be the worst outcome. He's certainly qualified, but there are still questions about how well his coaching philosophy would mesh with this New York roster. For now, the situation remains fluid, and all eyes are on what Dallas and Kidd will decide next. At the heart of this whole situation is one crucial factor. Does Dallas even want to keep Jason Kidd? If you ask me, I'd absolutely take Kidd over Mike Brown for the Knicks head coaching job. Honestly, if Brown joined as an assistant under Kidd, that could be interesting. But as the main guy, I'm not sold. Neither of them feel like the ideal choice for the top spot in New York. Mike Brown recently had an extensive multi-day interview with the Knicks and reportedly made a positive impression, just like he did the last time he spoke with the organization a couple of years back. So yes, the interest is definitely mutual, but personally, I still lean toward Taylor Jenkins ending up with the job. That said, we can't ignore that the door is wide open for Jason Kidd due to all the instability happening behind the scenes in Dallas. Steve Popper has brought up how chaotic things seem to be in the Mavericks organization. Kidd's top assistant left the team without Dallas even trying to negotiate his return, and he's now taking on an associate head coaching role with the Spurs. There are even rumblings that more staff could be departing. Names like Jared Dudley and God Shamgod have been floated as potential exits. It's hard to believe Kidd isn't sensing the uncertainty. When you look at how other teams quickly secured their coaches, Chicago locking in Billy Donovan, Houston doing the same with Ime Udoka, it's striking that Dallas hasn't even opened talks with Kidd. And all of this has reportedly left Kidd unsure of his standing. From confusion about Luka Doncic's situation last season to a general sense of dysfunction, the Mavericks just don't seem like the same organization they were under Mark Cuban's more hands-on approach. To make matters worse, when Doncic was traded, Kidd apparently wasn't even notified. GM Nico Harrison basically assumed Kidd would be fine with the move and didn't consult him. That's not exactly a glowing endorsement of their relationship, and when the media frenzy hit, Harrison disappeared from the press conference after 3 minutes, leaving Kidd to face the backlash alone. That's not what supportive leadership looks like. Meanwhile, the Knicks have become a well-run, structured franchise that doesn't make chaotic moves. They've handled their business with professionalism, and frankly, they look like a more attractive destination for a coach who wants stability and respect. The Luka trade was one of the more questionable deals in recent memory. No shade to Anthony Davis, he's a top talent. But that return didn't match Luka's value. It's baffling. If you're Kidd, you have to be thinking seriously about leaving. Not only is the Knicks front office more competent, but you also have a strong connection there. Remember, he coached Jalen Brunson in Dallas and helped him secure the contract he deserved. Brunson has spoken highly of Kidd, saying their bond was special and that Kidd had his back from day one. On the flip side, Kidd has nothing but praise for Brunson's growth and success in New York. That relationship mattered. And now, Kyrie Irving has locked in a massive deal with the Mavs, though not quite as big as he'd hoped, thanks to the second apron rules that are throwing a wrench into the league's big spending teams. Personally, I love this new rule. It's keeping things competitive and putting a check on those super team ambitions. Yes, the Mavericks landed Cooper Flagg with the #1 pick and are probably thrilled with that, but the way Dallas operates, are we really going to be surprised if Flagg gets traded 5 years from now? It's a pattern. History shows their stars either get lowballed or let go. Remember when Dirk stayed loyal, even when the Lakers came calling? That's rare. Look at how badly they fumbled the Jalen Brunson situation. He tried to lock in a fair deal, 4 years, $55 million, but Dallas turned it down. When they circled back mid-season with the same offer, he had already elevated his game and rightfully wanted more. They hesitated, and he walked. That's not smart management. Let's be real. Dallas has made one poor decision after another. They let Brunson go, they traded Luka in a questionable deal, and now they're letting Kidd potentially walk without a fight. Smart franchises don't operate this way. The Bulls, for example, are often criticized, but even they had the awareness to take care of their coaching situation quickly. So in the end, if Jason Kidd does end up on the sidelines at Madison Square Garden, it'll be because New York saw the opportunity, and Dallas simply let it happen. There's no denying it. This bizarre chaos in Dallas might actually play right into the hands of the New York Knicks. Now, according to Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, who has his moments of reliability, Jason Kidd views coaching the Knicks as a dream job. That's reportedly what he wants. The challenge? Finding a real path to make that happen. Now, I know some fans take anything from Scoop B with skepticism, and fair enough. For those who watch some of the late-night streams or other basketball content, you might have even heard stories about how he nearly collaborated on other projects before it fizzled out. Nothing ever came from it, but it's one of those inside tales that float around the NBA YouTube world. Anyway, whether that's relevant or not, it doesn't change the fact that Jason Kidd in New York has real traction. Honestly, I still think the most likely outcome is that he remains in Dallas. The Mavericks have messed up too many situations lately to keep making the same mistake. Unless, of course, they want to move on from Kidd. And if that's the case, maybe they're playing a long game, trying to get the Knicks to cough up a second-rounder or two, then parting ways with a coach they were already ready to let go. It's a scenario that, while frustrating, actually makes some strategic sense. But there's always the chance this isn't strategy. It's just another case of the Mavericks being, well, the Mavericks. Maybe they're assuming the Knicks will pivot to someone else. But if New York's front office sees Kidd as their top priority, and all signs point to that, they're not just going to give up. They'll keep pushing hard until there's no shot left. That's just how these things work when a franchise has a clear top target. Now, If the Knicks can't get Kidd, I personally believe Taylor Jenkins becomes the front-runner. He's shown poise and control in Memphis and fits the Knicks' direction. But don't sleep on James Borrego either. He's a name that's still quietly in the mix. As for Mike Brown, I don't see it happening. Despite the long interview and some good impressions, he just doesn't seem like the guy they'll choose when it's all said and done. Let me ask you this. Who do you think ends up coaching the Knicks? Drop 2 names in the comment, who you want and who you think will land the job. Personally, I'm rooting for Taylor Jenkins, and I also believe he's the one we'll see patrolling the sideline. But I wouldn't be mad if Johnny Bryant got the nod either. He's earned his respect within the organization. And hey, before we wrap, thanks so much for helping us hit 18,000 subscribers. That's an insane milestone, and I appreciate every single one of you. I know it sounds cliche when YouTubers say each subscriber matters, but seriously, I mean it. If I ever ran into one of you on the street and you told me you subbed to the channel, I'd high-five you on the spot. Whether it's Knicks Talk, Yankees Chatter, or Jets Breakdowns, if you follow our other channels, you know I've been showing up across all of them lately. Occasionally, you might even catch me on Mets Digest or other hoops channels around the NBA world. But for now, that's it from me today. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on the bell, and let's keep the energy rolling. Go Knicks! The New York Knicks are heading into the offseason with several major decisions on the table, and one name that continues to come up in discussions is Mitchell Robinson. Trade rumors have swirled around him recently, and now a trusted league source has provided new clarity on how the organization views Robinson and where he fits into their plans moving forward. Before we get into the full breakdown, a quick note. Over half of the people watching these videos aren't subscribed yet. If you've been enjoying the coverage, hitting that subscribe button would be a big help. It really supports everything we're working on behind the scenes to bring you the best Knicks content possible. Now, let's get into it. Mitchell Robinson's name has been floated in trade talks more frequently over the past few days, and much of that conversation stems from a recent post by NBA reporter Frank Isola. He pointed out that Mikal Bridges has come up in multiple trade scenarios, mainly because of his upcoming contract situation. In the same breath, Isola also mentioned Robinson as another name circulating in potential deals. While Bridges' inclusion is understandable given his star power, Robinson's case raised a few eyebrows. Why would the Knicks consider moving a player who's been a big part of their defensive identity? To make sense of it, we look at recent insight from ESPN's Bobby Marks. He laid out the financial picture for New York heading into the summer and explained how the front office has to get creative due to limited salary cap space. With little flexibility to sign free agents outright, the team is exploring other ways to improve the roster, and Robinson's contract could be one of the keys. Marks noted that the Knicks are essentially facing a decision. Is Robinson's value on the floor greater than what they might be able to get for his deal in a trade? It's not just about his production. His injury history also factors in, and packaging his salary with another piece could net the Knicks a major return in the trade market. That's likely the biggest reason his name keeps popping up. But the fact that other teams may see value in Robinson doesn't mean the Knicks are actively looking to move him. According to Ian Begley of SNY, who has strong ties to the team, the expectation from people close to Robinson is that he will still be with the Knicks next season. While these things can always change quickly in the NBA, the current belief from those around the player is that they're staying put. That sentiment gives us a window into how the team may be feeling. They aren't necessarily shopping Robinson, even if they're open to listening. Begley also added some perspective during a recent appearance, explaining that if the Knicks decide they need to clear out salary space to facilitate a big move, Robinson is a logical candidate simply due to his contract and position. Still, that doesn't automatically mean he's on his way out. It's more about optionality. If the right deal materializes, he could be part of it. But the team isn't just throwing his name into talks for the sake of it. So, while trade rumors involving Robinson aren't entirely without merit, it's important to understand that the Knicks are being strategic here. They recognize his value, both as a player and as a contract that could be useful in a bigger deal. But at the same time, The internal feeling appears to be that he's more likely to stay than go, unless, of course, something too good to pass up comes along. To get below the first apron and unlock a larger mid-level exception, you'd have to seriously evaluate whether shedding Mitchell Robinson's salary is worth it. And honestly, it's hard to say if that move would bring enough upside on its own to justify it. As Steve Popper from Newsday noted, the Knicks have recently pulled off trades that nobody expected, like a potential deal for Karl Anthony Towns, so it's fair to give some credit to the analytics team and cap experts behind the scenes, even if the surface-level logic isn't always obvious. What's becoming increasingly clear, though, is that the Knicks themselves don't appear all that eager to trade Mitchell Robinson. There's nothing concrete to suggest that the front office is actively shopping him or including him in every deal. So why does his name keep surfacing in all these trade conversations? The answer isn't that the Knicks are looking to send him out, it's that other teams around the league are asking for him. And that's important for a couple of reasons. First, it shows just how much value Robinson carries right now. The fact that teams are requesting him as part of discussions tells you his stock has gone up significantly. And second, it may indicate that New York is exploring trades that involve front-court players, perhaps a big wing or another center. When you're negotiating a deal where you're potentially parting with size, the natural counter is to ask for a center back. And among all the big men on New York's roster, Robinson is the one rival executives clearly have their eyes on. This all adds up. If you think about it logically, the Knicks aren't offering up Robinson. Their trade partners are demanding him. He's the asset other teams are circling. And that makes total sense given his production, contract, and fit in a variety of systems. According to Sports Illustrated, there are 3 big reasons why other teams are trying to acquire Robinson. And, just as importantly, why the Knicks are likely hesitant to move him. To determine if he still belongs in the franchise's long-term blueprint, it's worth reviewing what he's already done in a New York uniform. For starters, Robinson ranks second all-time in a stat that tracks extra scoring chances in a single playoff run, measured by a formula that includes offensive rebounds, steals, missed shots, and turnover. It's a stat that dates back to 1974, and he's in historic territory. He's also one of only 727 players in playoff history to have grabbed at least 30 offensive rebounds. And out of that entire group, Robinson is ranked number 1 in offensive rebounding percentage at 21%. Not only that, he's third all-time in offensive boards per game during the postseason, averaging 4.1. That's simply insane. And we haven't even gotten to the final major reason his name continues to come up. Just think about this. For 3 straight playoff runs, Mitchell Robinson has averaged more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. That's almost unheard of. To maintain that level of effort and dominance on the glass across multiple postseasons is a rare achievement. If you want proof of his impact, just go back and rewatch the Knicks' most recent playoff game. You'll see exactly how disruptive he was for opponents. His presence in the paint changed the tone of entire game, and that's not something you can just replicate with a cheaper option or replace easily in the rotation. The Knicks know all of this. That's why, even with the financial flexibility that could come from moving him, they're not rushing to ship him out. His ability to create second-chance opportunities is just too valuable, especially for a team like New York that thrives on hustle and effort play. When you think about a team that takes a ton of shots, misses a fair amount, and thrives off second-chance opportunity, there's really no better player to have than someone like Mitchell Robinson. What he brings to the court, especially for a squad that relies heavily on offensive rebounding and energy, is simply unmatched. And honestly, his trade value has probably never been higher than it is right now. But here's the twist. Despite his value being at its peak, the Knicks don't appear all that eager to move him. Take a look at the way he contributes when he's healthy. It's night and day. Sure, the injury history is something to keep in mind. That part of the conversation isn't going anywhere. But from what we're hearing, the front office is far more likely to keep Robinson around and possibly even work out an extension than they are to deal him in some random package. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean a trade is completely out of the question. Anything is possible in the NBA. But what's becoming more and more evident is that New York isn't out there actively trying to shop him. What's probably happening instead is that opposing teams are including him in trade talks, requesting him directly whenever a deal is on the table. That's a big difference. It means the Knicks know his value, and so does everyone else. This actually gives the Knicks a bit of leverage. They understand Robinson is viewed as a desirable asset around the league, which means they're in a position of strength. If they're going to move him, it better be for the right player, the right situation, and a return package that takes this team to the next level. And if that deal comes across Leon Rose's desk, he'll pull the trigger. He'll get it done, but it has to be worth it. Don't expect the Knicks to go out pitching Robinson's name like they're desperate to get rid of him. That's simply not the reality. Unlike someone like Mikal Bridges, who might be floated due to looming extension talks, Robinson isn't being put on the table by New York. In fact, if anything, they want to hold on to him. And honestly, after the kind of performances he had in the playoffs this year, who can blame them? Robinson's future in New York will ultimately come down to what kind of offers are presented. But if you were going to bet on it right now, the smart money says he's staying put. And not just for the short term. This feels like a long-term piece for this franchise. There's even a good chance we hear about an extension being discussed before too long. But what do you think? Ian Begley's recent report hinted at something major. His words were, the sense from the players' side was, we're here, we're not going anywhere. That sounds like a strong signal to me that Mitchell Robinson will continue wearing a Knicks jersey for years to come. Let me know your take on it in the comments. I always appreciate hearing your opinions. That's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts below, and of course, subscribe for more updates. Take care of yourselves, your families, and each other. Until next time, peace. Big news is swirling around the New York Knicks today, as a trusted NBA source has released a major update involving the team's ongoing trade talk. And these aren't just minor moves. Key rotational players are being discussed, and fans aren't exactly thrilled. After a deep playoff run that took them to the conference finals, the expectation was to bring back the core, tweak the bench a bit, and make another run at a title. But now, the front office is exploring options that could shake everything up. What's going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome back. It's great to have you here. There's a lot to dive into today as draft season heats up, and we're only just getting started. If you're new here or haven't subscribed yet, make sure to do that now. We've got constant updates, trade coverage, analysis, and everything you need to stay on top of the Knicks through this hectic offseason. Now, back to the big story. Executives across the league are buzzing about the Knicks being active in discussions involving two major contributors. Just 1 year ago, the franchise pulled off a blockbuster that brought in a highly coveted wing, along with other assets. That deal cost New York a treasure trove of picks, including multiple first-rounders and swap. It was a huge bet on the team's future, one that's already helped deliver postseason success. But with that same wing player now eligible for a 4-year, $156 million extension, the stakes have never been higher. According to insiders, the looming extension is a driving force behind his name being floated in trade talk. Teams around the league are monitoring the situation closely. Alongside him, another longtime Knick, one known for his defensive presence in the paint, is also reportedly part of conversation. Let's take a look at the wing in question. He averaged nearly 18 points, over 3 boards, and close to 4 assists last season, shooting efficiently from the floor, including a solid percentage from beyond the arc, especially the corners. But despite the numbers, some concerns have emerged. His defense wavered at times, and in the playoffs, his efforts seem inconsistent. There's speculation that heavy minutes under the previous coaching staff left him fatigued or dealing with lingering injury. It's also no secret that he wasn't happy under the old regime. That's exactly why some believe running it back with a new coach could completely change the dynamic. A coach who can better manage workload, maintain locker room morale, and help unlock the full potential of this roster might just bring out the best in this forward. With a reduced minute load, improved health, and a more favorable system, his defensive impact could return to form, and his offensive consistency could stabilize. And that brings us to the core of the debate. Do the Knicks double down and lock in that extension, or do they explore moving on before committing big money? It's not an easy call. After all, we're talking about a player with finals experience, high basketball IQ, and the ability to swing games on both ends. You don't just find those guys every day. Meanwhile, the big man in question, one who has anchored the defense and been a fan favorite, is also generating interest. His rim protection, rebounding, and physical presence are key parts of the team's identity. But his availability in trade talks suggests the front office is evaluating every option to reshape the roster around their core stars. There's no guarantee a deal happens before the draft, but things are heating up. The front office is known for moving quietly and striking when the moment is right. They don't currently hold a first-round pick, which limits draft day leverage. That hasn't stopped them from being aggressive in the past. So the question now is, will New York go all in on this group with a new coaching voice? Or are we looking at another major shakeup just 1 year after making their biggest trade in recent memory? Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you keep the current core intact or pivot before the extension window hit? We'll keep you updated with every twist and turn, so be sure to stay locked in. We've seen enough to know one thing for sure. Mikal Bridges can absolutely be the guy the Knicks were hoping for when they pulled the trigger on that massive trade package. During the Pistons and Celtics series, Bridges reminded everyone why he was such a coveted player, creating his own shot, knocking down mid-range jumpers with precision, defending at a high level, and stretching the floor with elite corner three. His two-way impact on the game was undeniable, and when that level of play translates into wins, the price the Knicks paid becomes easier to swallow. Remember, those 5 first-rounders only sting if they turn into top-tier picks. If the Knicks are contending year after year, picking at 25 or later, then it's a cost well worth paying. In fact, if they reach the NBA Finals, they'll be drafting at 30. That's the goal. And Bridges being a key part of that journey makes the investment even more justifiable. Now, here's where things get tricky. As valuable as Bridges is, there's another name swirling in trade talks that's causing some real anxiety among fans: Mitchell Robinson. Losing Bridges would hurt, but losing Robinson might be even harder to accept. During the playoffs, Robinson showed just how crucial he is, averaging nearly 5 offensive rebounds a game, shooting 60% from the field, blocking shots, getting steals. He did everything a team could want from a modern big man. He wasn't just solid, he had moments of defensive brilliance. That game where he shut down the entire Celtics offense on one play, sliding from Drew Holiday to Jaylen Brown, forcing a turnover, was legendary. People often talk about Robinson like he's easily replaceable because of his role. But there's no one else who does what he does with the same impact and consistency. He's not just a rim protector, he's an anchor. He's a tone setter, and he's essential to how this team wins games. Right now, the Knicks' roster includes guys like OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Tyler Kolek, Miles McBride, Mitchell Robinson, and Karl Anthony Towns. Ariel Hukporti should return, and Kevin McCullough Jr. is likely to be re-signed on a team-friendly deal. That's already a solid group. Add in a second-rounder from next year's draft, plus 2 minimum contract guys, and someone with the taxpayer mid-level exception, and you've got a strong 12-man unit. So why mess with it? Some argue cap flexibility or long-term planning. But the front office has choices. As analyst Keith Smith pointed out, this summer's most critical decisions might not come from new acquisitions. They could hinge on contract extension. Bridges, Robinson, and Towns are all extension eligible. Of that group, Bridges and Robinson are most urgent since they're heading into their final guaranteed years. Brunson already set the tone by signing an under-market extension to help the Knicks stay flexible. Bridges might follow suit. A reasonable extension for him might land in the $35 to $37 million range annually, potentially on a 3-year deal with a player option in year 3, perfectly synced with Brunson and Anunoby's timeline. Structuring it to start high and decline gradually could ease the cap burden over time, and given his desire to stay in New York, it's a scenario that makes sense for both sides. Robinson's case is a bit more nuanced. His role is vital, but is he seen as a starter long-term or as a high-energy backup? That's going to influence his number. A deal in the ballpark of 3 years, $48 million, about $16 million per year, would align with the rest of the team's key contracts. That's a fair offer considering his impact and potential to stay healthy. And let's not forget what Steve Popper pointed out. When this front office doesn't want to extend a player, they don't hesitate. If Robinson and Bridges are truly part of the core moving forward, extensions should happen. If not, it might signal that bigger moves are being planned behind the scene. In the end, the Knicks are at a critical juncture. They've built something special. The chemistry is there. The defense is clicking. The culture is strong. The question now isn't whether to shake things up. It's whether doing so would push this team closer to a title or set them back. Let me know what you think. Would you extend both Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson? Or is it time to make a bold move? One thing this Knicks front office has made clear over the years is that they won't just let a player walk away in free agency without trying to get something back in return. We've seen it with Emmanuel Quickley, Julius Randle, and Obi Toppin. If you're not part of the long-term vision, they'll find a way to move on and recoup value. And according to recent reporting, that approach may now be applied to Mikal Bridges. There's a growing feeling, echoed by Steve Popper, that despite the heavy investment the Knicks made to acquire Bridges, the front office may already be looking to pivot. Popper, like many observers, believes in cutting ties when necessary, rather than holding on to a player simply because of the price tag. If Bridges isn't a central piece of the future, now may be the time to explore what he could return in a trade. However, there's an argument to be made that Bridges' best basketball with New York might still be ahead of him. His postseason had flashes of potential, and under a different head coach, one whose system suits his style and with whom he has a better relationship, Bridges could thrive in ways he didn't under Tom Thibodeau. Sometimes, a player just needs a new voice on the sideline to unlock their full value. Then there's Mitchell Robinson. If you're thinking about what it might cost to extend him, look no further than Daniel Gafford's recent deal, around $20 million annually. That could be a useful benchmark for Robinson's next contract. But is it worth it? All signs say yes. Robinson's numbers are staggering. In the playoffs, he averaged the highest offensive rebound rate per minute in postseason history. Out of over 700 players who've recorded 30 or more offensive boards in a single playoff run over the last 50 years, Robinson ranks first in offensive rebound percentage, 21%, and third in total offensive rebounds per game, 4.1. He was up there with legends like Charles Barkley, and even surpassed names like Shaquille O'Neal, Dennis Rodman, and Charles Oakley. That kind of impact isn't easy to replace. As for Bridges, while more interchangeable than Robinson in some ways, it's still not easy to find a player who fits as seamlessly into the roster and system as he does. That said, if a rare opportunity comes along, say, a trade for Jaren Jackson Jr., then the front office might have to consider it. If a package involving Bridges and some draft picks brings back a player of Jackson's caliber, it could be worth the gamble, but even then, it would create a ripple effect. The Knicks would need to bolster their wing depth, find new two-way options, and restructure part of the lineup. In that scenario, Jackson slots in as the starting power forward, Robinson comes off the bench, OG Anunoby stays at the 3, and Jalen Brunson runs the show. Josh Hart could remain in the starting 5, but so could Deuce McBride, especially if defense is the priority. Though slightly undersized, Deuce brings elite point-of-attack defense and arguably more versatility on that end than Hart. Still, here's the truth. The Knicks were 2 wins away from reaching the NBA Final. That's not something to take lightly. The team is on the cusp of something big, and it's hard to justify shaking up the core when the current group has already proven it can go toe-to-toe with the best in the East. Sometimes, the smartest move is not making a big one. Keeping the top 7 guys intact and adding complementary pieces around them might be the best path forward. With the right coach, this same group could take another step and possibly break through. So, Knicks fans, what's your take? Do you want the team to hold on to Bridges and Robinson? Would you be open to a blockbuster if the right name becomes available? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more updates, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Knicks! We've got some huge developments unfolding with the New York Knicks as team president Leon Rose continues the franchise's critical search for its next head coach. And today, that journey took a new step. Micah Nori, the top assistant for the Minnesota Timberwolves, officially met with the Knicks front office. There's a lot to unpack here, and honestly, I'm a big fan of this move for several reasons. But first, if you're not already subscribed, now's the time. This offseason is shaping up to be pivotal. Trades may be looming, free agency is almost here, and yes, the Knicks still need to hire a head coach. Plus, we're going live during both days of the NBA draft, so hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a moment of the action. Welcome back to the show. I'm Marshall Green, and we're diving into the latest on New York's coaching search. The third candidate to formally interview for the position is Micah Nori, who's been a vital part of the Timberwolves coaching staff. Honestly, I really appreciate that the Knicks are taking a serious look at someone like Nori. He brings more than just experience. He brings the kind of connection this roster might need. Even though he hasn't officially held a head coaching job in the NBA, Nori got meaningful on-court leadership experience last season. When Chris Finch was sidelined with a serious leg injury, Nori stepped in and guided the Timberwolves during the Western Conference playoffs. That alone gives him a unique edge. Plus, let's not ignore his connection to Karl Anthony Towns. If New York is planning to move forward with a core built around Jalen Brunson and possibly Towns, having a coach who understands Towns' personality and how to maximize his game is a massive advantage. The report came from Shams Charania, who revealed that Nori is now among the coaching candidates being seriously considered by the Knicks, alongside Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins, both former head coaches with playoff experience. James L. Edwards also chimed in, praising Nori's extensive background and calling him not just a brilliant basketball strategist, but also a truly great person. Edwards also highlighted Nori's role in Minnesota's offense during his time working with Towns, and mentioned that players around the league speak very highly of him. Honestly, I didn't know much about Micah Nori until his name surfaced in this search. But the more I read and watch, the more impressed I am. You just don't see many coaches with such unanimous praise from both current and former players. Let's dig into his coaching background. Nori broke into the NBA with the Toronto Raptors in the late 90s, starting out as an intern before working his way up to an assistant coaching position under Jay Triano and Dwayne Casey from 2009 to 2013. He then joined Michael Malone's staff in Sacramento before following him to Denver. While with the Nuggets, he worked alongside Chris Finch and helped develop stars like Nikola Jokic. Later, he became a lead assistant for the Detroit Pistons under Casey once again, focusing primarily on offensive strategy. Most recently, Nori joined Minnesota's coaching staff in 2021. He reunited with Finch and quickly became known as one of his most trusted advisors, handling strategic rotations, sideline communication, and managing the finer details of in-game adjustments. When Finch suffered a torn patellar tendon last postseason, Nori took the reins and led the Wolves through that stretch. His name has started gaining traction around the league. He's already interviewed for head coaching jobs in Cleveland, Detroit, and Phoenix over the past 2 seasons. In an interview, Nori described his own role on the Timberwolves staff, saying he focuses heavily on game management, substitutions, and critical late-game decision-making. That's the kind of skill set the Knicks could use, especially as they continue to pursue a championship-caliber roster. Chris Finch had glowing remarks as well, describing Nori as someone operating on a different level, a coach who thinks through every in-game scenario, from when to foul to how to close out quarters, and someone who's fully dialed into every detail that impacts winning. That kind of analytical mindset, combined with a strong relationship with players, could be exactly what New York needs. There's no denying Nori's stock is rising fast. He's got the strategic brain, the respect of his peers, and leadership experience, even if it's not been in an official head coaching title just yet. His work with high-level talent like Jokic and Towns shows that he knows how to manage stars, and that's going to matter if the Knicks go after a big name this summer. Huge respect to one of the top Knicks sources online. New York Basketball shared a great quote from Anthony Edwards, who called Micah Nori a genius. That's not something you hear every day. With Nori emerging as a serious candidate for the Knicks' head coaching position, that kind of praise says a lot about the impression he made in Minnesota. And let's be honest, among all the potential coaches in the running, none have a closer working history with Karl Anthony Towns than Nori does. If the Knicks truly intend to build around Towns and Jalen Brunson, they'll need a head coach who not only understands their talents, but knows how to elevate them. Nori fits that mold. He was there before Gobert arrived, watching Towns shine at the 5, and continued working with him as he transitioned to the 4. Whether Nori sees him primarily as a power forward or a center, what matters most is his ability to unlock the best version of Towns, and he's proven he can. That's exactly why a coach like Nori makes so much sense. Unless a surprise blockbuster trade is around the corner, Towns isn't going anywhere. Bringing in someone who's already helped him thrive would be a smart move. Nori has even been seen in coaching sessions diagramming plays where Towns operates off the ball, highlighting his shooting ability and versatility, skills that could be a real asset in New York. But here's what really stands out. The fans in Minnesota. Scroll through social media, and it's clear they don't want to lose Nori. That kind of reaction speaks volume. It shows he's not only trusted by the front office and players, but also beloved by the people who watch the team night in and night out. It's rare for an assistant coach to receive that kind of public support. I've still got more thoughts about Nori's fit in New York, but in the meantime, go check out the latest Knicks gear online, especially with the 4th of July around the corner. It's a great time to rep your squad. So far, we know the Knicks have held interviews with Taylor Jenkins, Mike Brown, and now Micah Nori. That's 3 candidates confirmed to be in the first round of talks. And now that we're roughly 3 weeks removed from Tom Thibodeau's dismissal, it's clear the front office isn't rushing, nor should they. With only one open head coaching job left in the league, this one, they can afford to take their time and find the best fit. And with the NBA draft right around the corner, the timing is interesting. I initially thought the front office would want a new coach in place before draft day, but Leon Rose and the Knicks appear to be comfortable playing the long game. Plus, one of the key voices in the front office, Gerson Rosas, previously worked for the Timberwolves, so it's likely he knows Nori well and might be lobbying for him behind the scene. Honestly, I'm fine with the Knicks being deliberate here. Take your time. Explore every possibility. Build out a wide pool of candidates, narrow it down, and make the right choice. That's what Leon Rose did with Thibodeau. It took 7 weeks and multiple interviews, but he found the guy he believed in. Now it's time to do that again. So, who do you want to see lead the Knicks into the next era? Is Nori your pick? Maybe Mike Brown or Taylor Jenkins? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. And don't forget to follow me on social media for updates on all things Knicks. We've got a big summer ahead.